Welcome. Sorry to interrupt your day. If you're not part of personal finance, I'm Jim Munchback, and today is 11 November, year of our Lord 2025, and this is personal finance at the University of Houston at the Bauer College of Business, and we are live on the YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitter X, the LinkedIn, my favorite platform of all. And I hope you will at least stick with me for a couple of minutes. If you're not part of the course, I want to just let you know this is today, 11 November, year of our Lord 2025. This is my last lecture of this semester, and very possibly the last lecture of my college career. I've been teaching this course, as you know, if you've been following along. I've been teaching this course for nearly 15 years, and it's been one of the highlights of my life, not just my professional life, but my personal life. This has been and today, thinking about the journey that I've gotten to take with you guys is it's leaving me a little bit touched, moved, and inspired. Because I'll tell you why. The number one reason I'm a little moved, not a little moved, I'm a lot moved, is because when I teach this course, we do evaluations at the end of each semester. And from not the very first, the first semester was a disaster because I had so much to learn. But by the second semester, I had gotten very clear about what my goal was in teaching you how to manage money. And by the second semester, I started to get comments on the evaluations that this was the best course in my college career, the most impactful. And now, if you heard that, you probably think what I thought. These students. If you're a student, you may think this too. They're just trying to make me feel good, which they did make me feel good. But because of the consistency of it and because of the conversations I've been able to have with students over the years about the principles and what we teach in this course of personal finance, with a very specific, very clear, very compelling goal, I think. Uh, I think and I know the goal is compelling. The goal is to become a millionaire by the time you're 50. And I walk you through the course, from how to set up your financial plan to how to invest. We cover a huge amount of content, material, instruction in this course. And I think we put it together in a pretty good package. And I say that because one thing that happened over the years, and give me just a minute, it's only 10:03 a.m. So I'm going to just talk for a minute or two about um, reflecting, because in this lesson, actually in this assignment for this week, I want you to do a little reflecting. I want you to tell me uh, not just what you learned this semester. If you do this assignment, this week's assignment is the blueprint. It's the final assignment next to the capstone. So the capstone's actually the final assignment, but this chapter 12, week 12, the blueprint assignment it's optional. You don't have to do this assignment. If you don't need the points, you don't have to do this assignment. So how do you know if you need the points? Let me remind you, you need 950 points to get an A in the course, and you have 200 points hanging out there for the capstone assignment, which means if you got decent points, if you got no deductions all semester for your assignments, then when you do your capstone, you can be pretty confident that you're not going to get any deductions on your capstone either. Uh, that may not be true. A couple of things we'll cover when I do a little more review on the capstone, but that won't be a lecture. It will be in the form of tutorials, which some of you have been sending me. Thank you very much. But at any rate, 200 points for your capstone, and then 200 points for your class collaboration. So bottom line is, uh, if you haven't had any deductions or any serious deductions throughout the semester, then you're going to get all of those points. That's 400 points. So go look at the score or the number of points you have in Canvas right now, and then you can add 400 points, and that will tell you whether or not you need to do this week's assignment. If you have 950 points after you add the 400, if you have 1,000 points after you add the 400, you're I would be, if I were you, I'd be confident to go, hey, I don't really need to do this assignment. I can move on and do something that will help you move the needle in another course that may be more difficult. And the only way, or the number one way, you got to the point where you have enough points so you don't need to do this assignment, is because you've been turning your assignments in early. So if you did that, this is the payoff. Okay, this is what I told you at the beginning of the semester, the payoff for doing early assignments. One of them was, when we get to this week's assignment, you don't have to do it. So, but I still hope, even if you don't need the points and you don't do the assignment, I hope you'll do some reflecting and think about what you learned this semester, not just what you learned, but how are you going to apply it? And if you'll share that with me, even if you don't do the assignment, if you just give me that information, I would appreciate it. Do it in a comment though. Not Don't upload that to Canvas if you're not actually doing the assignment, because this assignment I'm going to tell you about in a few minutes is very unique, and it's not the simplest, easiest assignment of the semester. So if you need the points, you need to do it, but you're going to have to spend a little time on it. And I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. But back to my kind of story about reflecting. This course, the comments, the evaluations that I've gotten over the years, and you can check them out yourself if you go to ratemyprofessors.com. You'll see me there, my name, and you'll see the comments that students have left over the years. I haven't looked at it in a while. I hope it's still positive, but I get these comments and on a regular basis, and it's really um, it it affirms to me that the work that I've done over the years in this course have met the mark of what I'd hoped to achieve, and that's really saying something. If you're a teacher, you know what I mean. You don't want to just be teaching, and sometimes you just feel like your mouth is moving and nothing's really happening. And that's kind of how I feel a lot of times talking to this camera. This camera came into play after COVID. We had to teach online. And that's part of my story, part of why today is special to me, reflecting on this journey over the last, gosh, almost 15 years that I've been teaching at the University of Houston at the Bauer College of Business, teaching personal finance. And I've learned so much. I've become a much better teacher, I think. And more than that, I think a better person. I've got the opportunity to try to put myself in your shoes. And that's what I try to do. I try to think like as if I'm in your shoes, and this other guy on the other side of that camera is trying to help me learn the things I need to learn so that I can, at least in the Department of Financial Planning and Money Management, I can at least have that in my life in a very solid place. And that's what I've done. That's been my goal, and that's been something I think I've done well because of my training and my experience as a certified financial planner and my own journey managing money. I've shared my story with you a lot. I've screwed it up big time. If it weren't for my wife, my wife Connie is the frugal one in the family, and she's the one that early on in our marriage helped me recognize some of the bad patterns in my life that would have and were destroying us financially. And that's the thing, more than anything, that I've tried to impart in this course over the last many years, is that you don't have to let money rule you. Either you take charge of it with a plan and some very simple steps that can really not just move the needle in your financial life, but remove a lot of stress and anxiety. To have clarity and confidence and a certain level of contentment in your life, in the money can create stress. So that's been my goal, to help you have clarity, confidence, and more contentment in your life, in the area of finances anyway. And it's been quite a journey, and I've been thankful to do it. And I haven't really officially announced that I'm done, but I'm done. And that wasn't really an official announcement. It's just for you guys to know that this semester is going to be my last semester, unless something happens, and something could happen. I'm ready to move on to something else. And I want to tell you about that something else real quick, and then we'll get into the assignment. And it is 10 minutes after, so I've been chattering a bit, but please, please, just let me tell you what's next. I want to invite you to consider staying connected with me at applehomeschool.com. If you look in the comments of this post, you will see a link to what I'm looking at here on the screen, and you'll also see a link to, I think I put it down at the bottom. Oh my, I'm not seeing it. There, oh, you know what? It's in the video. It's in the video description, but I didn't put it in this post. I will, because I want to make sure you have um, links to where I'm going to be, and I want to invite you to come to Apple Homeschool. The reason for Apple Homeschool, it's kind of, I've been telling you all semester that I wanted to share what was next, and this is what's next. My grandchildren, Caleb and Maddie, are going to be homeschooled. And so I have the unbelievable privilege to participate in their training. And so I thought one thing I'm pretty good at is using these Apple devices to do stuff. And so I'm going to be using kind of all of my technology stuff, including my phone and my iPad and my MacBook. And I have a new Mac Mini, and I was able to buy Caleb and Maddie a new M4 Mac Mini. And I had an old monitor. As you can see, I have lots of monitors and lots of junk hanging around in my office. But um, anyway, I get to do that. I get to help Caleb and Maddie through their journey, and that's what we're going to do at Apple Homeschool. So instead of just closing down Thinkific, you may notice when you log in this week to Money Study Group that it looks very different. It looks more light, bright, fun, less professional, more family, fun oriented. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be converting my tools, the tools that I use to teach you. And that's something that you, I, as I reflect on the next chapter, and I reflect on what this journey and this chapter in my life has been about, I've learned so much. I can do so many cool things, and that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about at Apple Homeschool, because I don't know exactly how to motivate Caleb and Maddie or their parents, because obviously this adventure is going to involve their parents, because they can't just log into a computer and access everything. They're going to need a lot of help from the parents, but that's what parents commit to when they start to do homeschool. So part of my job will be to train parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles. And, that's where you come in, because you may be an aunt, you may be an uncle, you may be a cousin, you may be a grandparent. Most of you students are not, but um, if you're a person who has a little person in your life and you think it might be a good idea for them to learn healthy, productive ways to use technology instead of just as toys and video games, if you think that's a good idea, you're going to want to follow this journey at Apple Homeschool, because this is my mission. Next chapter, Apple Homeschool. I'm motivated because Caleb and Maddie are part of it and their parents. But I just think it's going to be a really cool project where we're going to build a community of people that participate in homeschool, but not just homeschoolers, because I just don't think people are being taught how to use these devices in a healthy, productive, safe way. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have some fun with it. It's number one goal is to have fun, because I want Caleb and Maddie to want to learn. Here's the thing, and then I'll get into this week's assignment. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm hoping. Here's what I'm praying. And I hope you'll pray for me too. I hope you will um, help me. I hope you will encourage me, because you can do that if hundreds, no, thousands of students have gone through this course, and that humbles me and it makes me quake with. I mean, I never thought I would be able to do what I've been able to do here in terms of just having an opportunity to teach. And now I feel like the next chapter, I want to take everything I've learned and try to produce or create something that is fun and good and healthy. But mostly, my goal is to help Caleb and Maddie become uh, capable young people. That's really my goal. But I know I can't do that if it's not fun and engaging. If I can't engage Caleb and Maddie in the process of learning with curiosity and creativity, if we can do that, if we can spark that, unbelievable things will happen in their lives. And I'll get to play a tiny little role in that. And that will be worth every minute and every cent and every dollar. But that's what I'm hoping for, because I'm hoping that when we get down the road, Maddie and Caleb will look back and say, that was the best homeschool course I ever took. And I think it can be, because it'll be fun. It'll give them opportunities. This is going to Apple Homeschool is about learning how to create, and that's going to be what we're working on. So I don't just want it to be for Caleb and Maddie. That's what's motivating me at the moment, but I see this as something that could be so much fun for so many kids, and we could build such a cool community, and we could do lots of fun things with Caleb and Maddie as they grow up. And I get to be Pops, their granddad. They call me Pops, and that's what's next. So, my hope, my goal would be to have them look at Apple Homeschool, Caleb and Maddie look at Apple Homeschool with the same kind of gratitude that I've heard from many of you who have taken this course over the years and said, it really made a difference in my life. That's my hope. That's my goal. That's my mission. That's what's next. So now for your painful assignment. And this assignment is somewhat painful because remember, back at the beginning of the semester, I told you you need to commit to using some tool to track your spending for the entire semester. So I'm trying to get down to it. I'm pretty sure it's in here. It's in your, yeah, here it is. So show your work. That's what you get to do in this assignment. You get to show your work for the whole semester. You were required, you were asked, you committed to tracking your spending. And I encouraged you to use your bank app to do that. So if you use a debit card, I found out the other day I don't even own a debit card. I use credit cards, but I have a business card and I have a um, personal card. And if I did this assignment, I would have two sets of data. I'd have my business data and my personal data. And that's what you're going to have. You're just going to have your personal data, because I want to see everything you spent this semester, not because I want to see it. I want you to see it, because once you see all your data, once you go to your bank app or whatever tool you used to capture your spending, every penny of it for the whole semester, you're going to not just show your data, your spending data. That's number one. Number two is you're going to create a spending graph. So when you do your budget, you do it by category. So this is just kind of like, instead of creating a budget that's proactive for the future, this is just kind of taking your spending and displaying it in the same context you would your budget, with categories. And your app will do that for you. So that's number two. That's segment two of this very important part of the assignment. And then segment three is to just to reflect on your spending. What did you figure out about yourself this semester in terms of your spending? This assignment, this final assignment, next to the capstone, which is really the final assignment. But the blueprint assignment involves taking all the data from the whole semester for your spending and putting it into a readable format where you can reflect on where did you spend your money. That's this assignment in a nutshell. The rest of it, the rest of the assignment is just kind of a review. You're going to read the blueprint for financial success. That's your reading assignment. If I click on that, it should take me right to, yeah, it's going to take me to Apple Homeschool because that's where the assignment is. And you'll notice that no longer says whatever it said before. I think it said, I don't even remember what it said, but I changed everything yesterday. So don't be alarmed when you go to log in. It now is set up for Apple Homeschool because that's where we're going to be teaching Caleb and Maddie how to manage their devices and how to do fun, creative things at Apple Homeschool. So that that's you have a reading assignment there. It's the blueprint for financial success. That's really just background. I think we have, sorry if I'm making you dizzy. I hate it when people do that. The free tick, I think we covered this earlier in the assignment, but when I wrote the my when I wrote some books earlier in my life, I don't have one hanging around. I should, but I don't. But anyway, in the book, Make Your Money Count, I unpack the 7 elements of a financial plan. Uh, Actually the 7 essential elements of personal finance. And so it starts with retirement planning. And I used this free tick when I wrote the book. It was my mental model of thinking about financial planning. So I want you just to review this. Okay, and I'm going to review it with you real quick, what free tick stands for. But you got this picture that my friend Taylor, great illustrator, I told him I needed something to illustrate free tick, the idea, the big idea. And so for me, when I think about financial planning, instead of starting with retirement planning, that seems like retirement to me is it's a term, right? It's a category of personal finance. But really, what is it? It means you get to my age and you get to stop working. Doesn't seem very compelling to me. And so when I started this journey of becoming a financial planner, I started to think about what does it mean to me to have enough money to do what I want to do in my life. And so to me, the whole idea of personal finance and financial planning, the whole reason to do that, to manage money, is represented in this free tick. It's like freedom, financial freedom. That's what it's about. To me, that's what financial planning is about. So when I wrote that book and every day, every client, every interaction, I try to help people frame their financial plan in this way. Now, some people really appreciate the idea of retirement. They want to get to a place where they can stop working and not worry about money, not worry about anything except doing what they, enjoying their life. And that's not that different, except that for me, it just seems like financial freedom is a more compelling idea than going on a cruise. Retirement, the traditional idea of retirement isn't all that appealing to me. So this is my kind of my mental model of financial planning, and I want you to be exposed to it. I want you to understand it. If nothing else, just memorizing these 7 letters, free tick, will help you kind of be able to think like gestalt, like the big picture, like be able to think about financial planning in a way that is holistic. So it starts with financial freedom, which you could replace that with retirement, which involves a lot of stuff, as you know, because you've been working on that this semester. So, and then R for free tick is risk management. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on insurance because we just didn't have enough time, but it's one category in your financial life that's going to be pretty big in terms of your budget. So risk management, how you manage risk is a very important part of financial planning and personal finance. And I could go on and on. I know so much about risk management because I was a State Farm agent for many years, and I have a lot of letters after my name, and so I we could teach a whole semester on risk management, but it's an important part of personal finance, and that's why it's in there, the R. And then the next one, free tick, the E is for estate planning. We really didn't hardly touch on estate planning at all this semester, but it is definitely a big part of personal finance. So just so you know that, we didn't really cover estate planning much at all. But the bottom line is before you die, well, let's say after you die, somebody gets all your stuff. And if you have a lot of stuff, some point in your life you're going to be like, I want to make sure that all my stuff, my money, my assets, my house, that it goes where I would want it to go if I was alive to make that decision. And so estate planning is planning ahead so that when you're gone, your decision while you're alive, your decisions, your choices, your values, your priorities, those still get carried over into after you die when you're not around to tell the courts and your family where all your stuff goes. That's estate planning. And then education planning is just really what it sounds like. Many of you are in college because someone made it a priority to provide for you to go to college. And I hope you're very grateful for that if you're in that situation. If you're not in that situation, if you're like me, my parents they never even thought about college. I had 5 kids in my family, and I'm the only one in my clan who graduated from college. And I paid for college myself. Fortunately, when I was about 16 years old, I left home to go to trade school to learn how to become a mechanic. And I made good money in college as a master mechanic. And I'm very grateful for that. My dad was a mechanic and he taught me that. And so, better than paying for my college, he gave me so much in terms of the ability to earn. And I became an entrepreneur at a very young age, and it's because of my dad. He didn't give me a dime for college, but he gave me everything I needed to make more than enough to go to college and to do everything else I've done in my life. So if you're one of those students whose parents made a way for you to go to college, they did a little estate or a little education planning rather, and that's what the E is for. It's a big part of personal finance. Next is tax planning, and you've been doing work around that category over the last couple of weeks. Tax allocation, some call it tax location. Think about your 401k and the types of accounts you put money in. That's tax planning. I was born on April 15th. Did I tell you that? I was born on April 15th. My first child was born on December 31st, and I'll never forget the tax deduction we got. Our son was born really late at night on the 31st of December, and he was born before the new year, so we got to pretend that we had that expense for the whole year when in reality we never even changed one diaper in the year that he was born. But we got a tax credit, a child tax credit, which was pretty meaningful. So all that to say, I learned about tax planning pretty early. My second son, our second child, was born on October 15th. So, October 15th is the deadline for filing your taxes if you're a corporation. So, all that to say, I'm pretty sure I was born to be a tax planner. Anyway, that just a fun little tidbit. Next, for free tick, you got FREET, tax, and then I is for investment. We covered the 4 investment strategies in this course that are designed to help you maximize returns and minimize risk. And those 4 strategies that we talked about, they're the 4 key strategies, I think. The first one is diversification. Think about Enron. The next one is asset allocation. If you don't know what an asset class is, you won't be able to put your head around asset allocation. But asset allocation is the single most important determinant of your portfolio's returns. Let me repeat that. Asset allocation is the most important determinant of your portfolio's returns. And that's why in your assignment around asset allocation, I made you go in and play with your asset allocation in your plan. After I made you pretend you were 10 years older and you funded your accounts, you've got a fully funded 401k for 10 years because you've been working at your dream job for 10 years. So now you've got money in your account. Wow, look what happens when you go from conservative to aggressive. Look at the values in that account when you change the asset allocation. And over your lifetime, as a young investor, that'll make a lot of difference. And it makes a difference for your entire life, not just when you're young, but asset allocation, the number one determinant of your portfolio's returns. So that was the second investment strategy designed to maximize returns and minimize risk. And the third investment strategy, I think it's my favorite. I think it's the most powerful one. It's called dollar cost averaging. And I told you a story about Farmer Joe and how he was buying cows and the price of cows went up and up and up. And then he was, first the price of cows went down, down, down. That's what happened. Down, 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 down. And then they went up, 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 up. Anyway, that's a great story. It's in my book, Make Your Money Count, and you already watched that lecture, so you know what dollar cost averaging is. It is the most powerful investment strategy designed to help you maximize returns and minimize risk. So know that one. And then the fourth one is pretty simple. It's called portfolio rebalancing. And if you just think about those asset classes like chickens, cows, pigs, and what else? Emu. Do you know what an emu is? So if your portfolio was made up of four different farm animals, then you can just imagine that at times certain animals like cows, they go on sale. If you have a portfolio with four asset classes, whatever they are, cows, chickens, pigs, let's say you have large cap US stocks, small US stocks, bonds, and international stocks. That's four asset classes in one portfolio with four quadrants. And over time, one of them explodes with growth. That's be right now, that'd be the large cap US stocks. And another part of that pie, another quadrant didn't grow, it shrunk. Let's say bonds. That'd be true because interest rates went up, and when interest rates go up, the value of bonds goes down. And so you started out with everything equal 25% and 25% of everything, but 25% in bonds turned into like 12%. But your large cap turned into like 45%. So what are you going to do? You're going to rebalance. So you have 25% of each of those four asset classes in your portfolio. And what happens when you do that is you take profit from that large cap section and you invest that in that bad section, bonds, that shrunk so much. And by doing that over time, it's like doing dollar cost averaging at the next level. But it's a great strategy to help you maximize returns and minimize risk. So those are the four strategies we covered. Finally, and these, again, I'm reviewing the seven elements of financial planning, personal finance, and cash flow planning is really number one. It should be number one because think about it. How you manage the money coming into your life and going out of your life, that's cash flow planning. And if you're a business owner, that's critical to your business, but it's critical to your life as well. So if you didn't take some time this semester to go into your financial plan at Right Capital and look at your cash flow, then you're missing an opportunity to really understand the basis of financial planning. It really is. Remember those three laws of personal finance? The first law is the law of spending and saving. Spend less than you earn, save more for what matters most. That boils down to just another way of saying pay attention to your cash flow. I heard this maxim one time when I was pretty young. If your outflows exceed your inflows, then your upkeep becomes your downfall. I think that's how it goes. But it's true. If you spend more than you make, you're going to be in trouble. And that's what the whole first law of personal finance is all about. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I mean, I could talk and talk. As you know, I can do some talking, but it's time to move on. It's time for me to close the book, to turn the page. And it's time for you to, well, it's time for you maybe to do your homework assignment. And hopefully you don't have to do the assignment, but if you don't have to do the assignment, then please do. Um, just tell me, leave a comment and tell me what this course has meant to you, how it's helped you, if it has. And, I would say give me feedback so that I can improve it. Every semester, that's what I always ask you to do in the evaluation is tell me what I can do differently next semester to make it better. And you guys over the years, not you guys who are in the course now, not this cohort, but in the previous cohorts, you guys have done that. And that is one of the reasons that I believe this course is good. And it's good, and it's about to have the book closed on it. And that's not a sad thing. That's a good thing. When I started teaching, my wife was a teacher. She was retired. And we both agreed. Now, she taught professionally. That was her career. She didn't make much money doing it. Fortunately, I made a lot of money, and we never had to worry about that most of our lives. But when I started teaching at U of H, it was just this really cool gift. In fact, when I was asked to teach at U of H, it was because of a volunteer community thing that I did. And I met John Lopez, he came on staff. He retired from Schlumberger and came to work for U of H full time and headed up the finance department. And he needed an instructor. So he asked me if I would do it. And I was like, yeah, that would be cool. But at the time, I thought it was a volunteer gig. Turns out they pay pretty well for adjunct professors. And over the years, that mailbox money has added up nicely, and I'm grateful for that. But anyway, teaching, my wife and I both always said, if you're going to teach, there comes a time when you need to retire because you're cranky, you're grumpy, you're not the same as you were when you're young. You have um, certain what's the word, the ability to endure a lot more stuff when you're younger, and as you get older you get a little less patient, a little more not fun, and I hate to admit that seems to be happening to me. Like, I don't feel the same about just the energy that it takes. And part of it is, I promise you, a big part of it is if you could sit where I'm sitting right now, and if you could just imagine talking to that camera. There's nobody in the room. It's just you and that camera. How fun is that? It's not that fun, okay? That camera isn't you. It's not. There was a time when I taught, when I started this gig, that you were uh, in the room. You were in the room with me, and we had conversations, and I looked you in the eye, and I got to tell you stories, and you got to respond to the stories, and you got to laugh, and I got to laugh because I can be pretty funny, and I always try to be funny when I'm in a group, and it's fun to be funny, and that's what I liked. And so I'm just saying that things changed over the years, and I'm not complaining because I'm grateful that I can do a lot of things, and I'm going to take these tools and these skills, and I'm going to go do the next thing, and I'm going to try to have fun with it, and I'm going to try to, especially with Caleb and Maddie, have fun with them, and hopefully lots of other young people and parents and grandparents who will participate in Apple Homeschool. And I'm excited about that. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying teaching this course, it's not what it used to be. It's uh, it's not what it used to be, and that's not your fault. It's not. It's nobody's fault. But the bottom line is, I think we all agreed a while back not this cohort, but over the semesters, I did a lot of surveys, a lot of research, a lot of conversations with students, and online asynchronous courses are pretty popular for the same reasons for you as they are for me. I don't have to drive, I don't have to fight traffic, I don't have to worry about parking, and all of that makes teaching online better than the alternative. But the thing that we miss is being together, and I do miss that. And so it's time for me to turn the page. It's 10:40 a.m., 11 November, year of our Lord 2025. And this is me saying thank you and goodbye. Hope we can stay connected. You can always find me online at LinkedIn. In fact, let me just make sure we put that up there. You can always find me at LinkedIn. That's my favorite social platform. I hope we can connect. And you will see things are going to be changing in my online digital profiles. I'm going to focus on Apple Homeschool moving forward. A couple other things are coming up. I hope you'll follow me. You can always follow me at my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is that's where I'm going to build Apple Homeschool, at least for now. I'm going to have a playlist there, and you'll get to see me on the same channel we're on right now. So I hope you'll hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you get notified. Hit the little bell, and you'll get notified when I post new content. I hope you'll do that. I think I want to keep my channel at Jim Munchback. Munchback has an H on the end, instead of starting a new channel for Apple Homeschool. Because, hey, Apple Homeschool, Caleb and Maddie could tell me this is not really for us, Pops. Maybe Mom doesn't want me to keep teaching her kids because who knows how it'll go. I'm going to do my best. But I don't think I want to build a new channel right now. I'm just going to use this channel for the next chapter. So at Jim Munchback, YouTube, Munchback has an H on the end. I hope you'll subscribe. Hope you'll hit the like button. Hit the little bell if you want to be notified. That's what I do. I do have a premium subscription to YouTube, which is the best $10 a month I ever spent. I think no ads. So that's not a commercial. Just this is me saying goodbye and thank you and signing off for the last lecture at the University of Houston, 11 November, year of our Lord 2025. It is now 10:43 a.m. and I'm signing off. You guys take care. I look forward to staying connected